There's this really specific moment, I don't know if you've had it yet, where you open your banking app without much thought. You're not sitting down to do a financial check-in. You're just killing time. Maybe you're in line somewhere. Maybe you're half watching something on Netflix. Maybe it's late and you're doing that absent-minded scroll before bed. And you tap the app almost on autopilot. And then you see the number. It's not flashy. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't come with fireworks or dramatic music. It's just there. A 5, followed by 4 zeros. Maybe a little more. $50,312. $51,084. Something like that. And for a split second, your brain doesn't even register it. Then there's this pause, like your mind trips over itself. And you think, wait, is that actually real? Because up until now, money has probably felt temporary, like it moves through you but never really stays. You earn it, you spend it, you stress about it, you try to save it, and then something happens. A car issue, a random bill, a life thing, and suddenly the balance drops again. So even when you're doing okay, money still feels fragile, like it's balanced on a table that wobbles if you breathe too hard. And here's the strange part. When you pass $50,000 saved, the biggest change isn't practical. It's psychological. It's not about what you can buy. It's about how your relationship with money starts to quietly, slowly shift in ways you don't immediately notice, but once you do, you can't unsee them. I spend way too much time thinking about money, honestly, not in a flashy how-to-get-rich-quick way, but in a slightly obsessive, very human way. Why certain numbers feel heavy. Why some habits feel impossible to maintain until they suddenly aren't. Why two people with similar incomes can feel completely different levels of stress. And $50,000 saved is one of those thresholds that doesn't just change your spreadsheet, it changes your nervous system. If you're below that number, this matters because it explains why things feel harder than they should. And if you're above it, this might explain why you don't panic the way you used to, even if your life doesn't look dramatically different on the outside. Because after $50,000, money stops feeling like it's about survival. Before that point, money is sharp. Every decision has edges. You're constantly running background calculations without realizing it. If I buy this, does that mess up next month? If I say yes to this trip, what does that mean for my buffer? If something goes wrong, how bad is it? Even when you're disciplined, even when you're doing the right things, there's still this low-level tension humming under everything, like a noise you've gotten used to. But it's still there. Saving before $50,000 often feels like trying to carry water in your hands. You squeeze tighter, you get better at it, but something always leaks. And every leak reinforces this belief that money doesn't really stick, that it's temporary by nature. But somewhere around that $50,000 mark, survival mode starts to loosen its grip. Not disappear, just loosen. You stop checking your balance before every purchase. You stop flinching when a bill hits. You still care, but the fear isn't driving the car anymore. And that matters more than people realize, because when your brain is stuck in survival mode, it's terrible at long-term thinking. It wants relief, certainty, safety right now. That's why people overspend even when they know better. That's why investing feels scary. That's why short-term comfort beats long-term planning so often. Once survival pressure eases, you gain something incredibly valuable. Mental space. You can think past this month, past the next paycheck, past the next inconvenience. And that mental space changes everything that comes next. Another thing that shifts sand this one sneaks up on you is how spending feels emotionally. Before $50,000, spending often doubles as a reward system. You work hard, you're stressed, you've been responsible for a while, so buying something feels like a release, like proof you're allowed to relax. And honestly, that makes sense. When money is tight, enjoyment feels scarce, so your brain grabs it where it can. A new phone, a nice dinner, a late-night impulse buy that feels exciting for about 10 minutes. But after $50,000 saved, spending starts to lose some of its emotional charge. You buy the thing, and it's fine. You upgrade something, and a week later, it's just normal. You go out, and it's fun. But it doesn't hit the same way it used to. And that's when this quiet realization creeps in. Asterisco. This was never about the object. Asterisk, it was about relief, about novelty, about control. When you're financially safer, you don't need spending to regulate your emotions as much. And because of that, you get pickier. You stop buying random stuff just to feel something. You start asking better questions without forcing yourself to. Asterisk, will this actually improve my day-to-day life? Is this worth the trade-off? Will I care about this in a month? Asterisk, this is where lifestyle inflation often slows down nor stops altogether, not because you're depriving yourself, but because the purchases just don't deliver the emotional return they used to. And then there's risk. Before $50,000, risk feels dangerous. Quitting a job feels reckless. Investing feels scary. Trying something new feels irresponsible. You cling to certainty because certainty feels like safety. After $50,000, risk doesn't vanish. It just changes shape. You start to see the difference between reckless risk and calculated risk. You realize that not all uncertainty is bad, and some of it is actually necessary if you want things to grow. This is when people start negotiating harder, switching paths, investing more confidently but intentionally, not because they suddenly became braver, but because the downside no longer feels like total collapse. Failure stops meaning catastrophe and starts meaning inconvenience, adjustment, a delay. And that psychological shift is massive. It's the difference between thinking, asterisk, I can't afford for this to go wrong, asterisk, and realizing, asterisk, I could recover if it does, asterisk, same person, same skills, different cushion. Another subtle shift is how you start valuing time. At first, saving money feels like the goal, but after $50,000, you realize the real thing you're protecting is time. Time not spent stressing, time not spent cleaning up financial messes, time spent thinking clearly, resting properly, planning intentionally. You become more willing to pay for convenience, to outsource things you hate, to say no to opportunities that drain you even if they pay okay. And this isn't laziness, it's clarity. You start to understand that money can be replaced. Burnout is harder to undo. You also stop obsessing over small wins and losses the way you used to. Before $50,000, every mistake feels loud. Every missed opportunity feels personal. You replay decisions. You beat yourself up over inefficiencies. You stress about doing everything right. After $50,000, the noise quiets. You zoom out. You see that consistency matters more than perfection. That one bad month doesn't erase years of good habits. That calm decision-making beats hyper-optimization almost every time. And the irony is, this emotional stability makes you better with money, not worse. Then there's the identity shift. The part almost nobody talks about. Saving $50,000 doesn't make you rich. It doesn't mean you're done. But it does something important to how you see yourself. You stop seeing money management as something you're trying to do and start seeing it as something you are. You trust yourself more. You believe your future self is capable because your past self already proved it. And habits tied to identity stick. That's why this milestone matters, not because of what it lets you buy, but because of what it changes inside you. And if you're not there yet, that's okay. Truly. Most people never even get close, not because they're incapable, but because they underestimate how much of money is psychological, not mathematical. Keep building boring consistency. Keep reducing fragility. Keep stacking small, unglamorous wins, because one day you'll open your banking app without much thought and realize you don't feel the same anymore. And that's when the real shift begins.